Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the British line. Another premium tank is the Tier 8 Chimera, which is currently in the shops. As always, we will have a look at the tech spec first before we look at gameplay. We will use blitzhanger.com, which is a great asset for all blitzers. Now look, let's talk about the price first. I mean, it's $49.99 with all the equipment unlocked, $43.99 without it. That's in euros. Honestly, I think it's not worth the money. It's way too much. I think around 20 euros will be fine, around $22, $23. And you know, there is a Tech 3 equivalent which we're going to look at later. There's nothing really exceptional about this tank, but nonetheless we will review the tank in its own right, see how it is. I don't think it's quite worth that money because there is nothing special about it, but of course if you have the money and you want a premium tank, then of course that's entirely up to you. Now this is a decent tank, as I said, but there's absolutely nothing special. There's nothing outstanding about it. It's a medium British Tier 8. It has a big gun, 127mm gun, which is very unusual for a medium tank. But there's a 13-second reload, even if you use gun rammer. And I would also recommend that you use black tea, because that helps with the reload and maximize the view range, which is very important for a medium tank. And you will see that in the gameplay how important that is. There's also extra equipment here, sandbag and hand sandbag armor, which gives you extra hit points, so basically 1442 and 1484 hit points respectively. And if you use improved assembly, you actually get up to 1568 hit points. With a lot of hit points, it's almost the same as an IS-6. So it's something worth considering. 280mm of pen with AP on that big gun, 252mm of pen with APCR, which is your promo. 64mm of pen with HE, so load up HE and cycle your shells, because you can pen a lot of tanks side on with HE, and most tanks, especially mediums and light tanks, at the back. You can also pen other Chimeras at the back with HE, with that 64mm of pen, because it's vulnerable at the back, and we'll have a look at that when we look at Armor Inspector in a few minutes. Now, the muzzle velocity in this tank is low. It's only 732 meters per second. It's only 952 meters per second if you use supercharge. Therefore, it gives patchy gun handling. We'll discuss that a bit later on. Vertical stabilizer is usual on a med tank, but because you fire when moving. But on this, due to the poor gun handling, I would use a refined gun. I think it's probably a better option. There's a few reasons for that, but it reduces dispersion, and dispersion, as we know, is the likelihood of your shell missing. And I think the gun handling is so patchy in this, you want to minimize dispersion, maximize muzzle velocity. It also has pretty long aiming time. We'll have a look at that in the gameplay too. Now on the plus side, it has 10 degrees of gun depression, 15 degrees of elevation, which means it has decent gun handling. And in terms of its alignment, that means it's easy to get your barrel in line with your opponent. It does 50 kilometers per hour top speed, which sounds great. Also does 20 reverse, sounds really good. But, and there is a big but, a Jennifer Lopez size but, it has poor power to weight ratio, really poor, and it has poor traverse, so therefore it's not a good brawler. Power to weight ratio is basically the tank's ability to accelerate, and this does not accelerate well. It takes a long time to go to that top speed. Concealment is okay. Best case, not firing, not moving. Something with big view range of 3 and 4 meters, like an RU, has to get in within 236.7 meters of you. So it's okay, but not great. Now, if we have a look at the armor here, what do we see? Well, we notice a few things. Firstly, large gun mantlet. Good armor on the turret. It has very strong turret armor, that's for sure. If we look at those relative armor numbers on the turret, we see it is very strong. Big gun mantlet, which can't be penned. So therefore, with that 10 degrees of gun depression, you are gonna have a lot of hold down options. You can side scrape a bit, and you see there that you get high relative armor numbers if you can get into a side scraping position. And yes, here is a bonus. It has spaced armor on the sides, which means that you can't be penned to full max rolls with heat or HE. Particularly important if you're up tiered and there's a waffle tractor or something else like that there, he won't be able to max roll you on the sides. He's a small target, basically just your turret. If a heat or HE shell hits the spaced armor, It basically it explodes on impact, and therefore it can't do full damage, so you get minimum amount of damage with those heat and HE rounds. So that's an added bonus of the Chimera as well. We see here now in terms of its armor profile against tier 7s, tier 8s and tier 9s. It's tier 7, tier 8, you're pretty okay front on. Against tier 9s, it's not good. But then that's to be expected for a medium tank, right? That of course is to be expected for a medium tank when it's up tiered, right? And so there's nothing uncharacteristic about that. But what is uncharacteristic about this as a medium tank is its long reload. And really that sort of goes against the whole premise of medium tank play, right? You want a medium tank to fire frequently, to fire often. You want to be able to fire shots on spec. You want to be able to get into circle of death to outfire a heavy tank. And this has a slower reload than many heavy tanks. Okay, it has big and nice alpha rolls, for around 400 plus, even with AP, but that's the same, let's say, as an IS-6 or an IS-3, so not significant, and it has a slower reload than them. So therefore you need to play this tank very differently than you would play a normal medium tank. You actually need to make your shots count. You can't really fire shots on spec. It's not really good at circle of death because of that long reload, also because of the power to weight ratio. It's not really a good brawler, which medium tanks are noted for, because of the long reload, because of its power to weight ratio as well. If you get into a brawl with something like a Panther 2 or a T-44 in this, you're really going to suffer. So therefore you need to play it differently. We'll have a look at that in the gameplay. Now this does have an interesting nomenclature. The name of the tank is very interesting. It's named after the Greek mythological creature, the Chimera. Here we see the Chimera as it's depicted by Ulysses in the Odyssey. It has the head of a lion, the body of a goat and the tail of a snake. It is also depicted as a more fierce creature in other Greek mythology. So, for example, in some instances, it has the head of a lion. It also has the head of a goat, and on its tail, it has a snake's head, which breathes fire. And therefore, it is a fearsome creature. It was one of the more fearsome creatures of Greek mythology, and it of course is a hybrid. In modern genetics, by the way, a chimera is a piece of biological material that has more than one DNA sequence. We can see here a more fierce example of the chimera, and it does indeed look like a fearsome creature. But unlike the mythical Greek creature after which this tank is named, this tank is not quite so fearsome. It is not quite as aggressive as the chimera of Greek legend would suggest. And for the reasons that we spoke of, its lack of power to weight ratio, it's really slow firing, and it has really patchy gun handling, and we're going to discuss that a bit more as we look at the gameplay. And the patchy gun handling is a real problem when you have such a long reload, right? You're going to wait 13 seconds. Best case, by the way, that's if you run black T and if you run gun rammer. If you're running calibrated shells and not running black T, but let's say protective kit, you're going to have to wait almost 14 seconds. In Greek mythology, by the way, it's Bellerophon who defeats the Chimera in the end with the help of Pegasus, the winged horse. You can see here him coming in to defeat the Chimera, and Bellerophon, of course, is one of the great monster killers of Greek mythology. So, although there is not a Bellerophon tank yet in Blitz, I guess it's only a matter of time that somebody brings in a Bellerophon, probably some sort of TD, to fight the Chimera. So not sure that that's going to happen, but it seems pretty likely, and you're probably going to be asked to fork out another 50 or 60 euros, $65 for that. So watch this space, guys. Now The nomenclature, as I said, is quite interesting, which I thought I'd mention it. And you're probably maybe thinking, I thought I heard about this before, but I don't know anything. I fuck all about Greek mythology. How have I heard it? Well, it actually features in Mission Impossible 2, so it's in common culture as well. In Mission Impossible 2, the deadly virus which is created is called Chimera, and of course the antidote is called Bellerophon. So if you're wondering how you might have heard those names before, they are in popular culture in the Mission Impossible 2 movie, the second one, which is directed by John Woo. You're probably wondering, Pants, how do you know so much about this? Well, I actually also write a history page on Facebook along with my brother. It's called Napoleon's Notebook. And if you're interested in history, particularly military history, check it out and you will get a lot of interesting stuff. We recently just did an interesting post on the Battle of Marathon. And of course, during Greek mythology, there is a link and an overlap between its history and, of course, mythology, with the Odyssey and the Fall of Troy being a perfect example of that. Now, moving on, let's go back to Blitz. Let's have a look at some gameplay in this tank. Now, this is Normandy, and it's a supremacy game, and it is going to be a mastery game, so let's have a look at it. Now, I have to say, I had pretty good run in this tank. It took me 24 games to master it, I think, but I do think it has limitations, right? So its power to weight ratio, as we said, although it has a good top speed, it takes quite a while to get up there. If you compare how fast I can get to be here to spot up the enemy in this tank compared to normal mediums, it is pretty slow. And you can see there, though, the gun, when it hits, does nice alpha rolls, big shot into the Tiger 2, right? You can also see that I am utilizing the strengths of this tank. What I try to do with this tank is always trying to have myself on a heel, so that I'm just going hull down. I slow that down so you can have a look at the instant replay and see how patchy the gun handling is. That SP1C was pretty close to me, and in a normal medium tank with its gun handling, you would have penned that, completely missed it. And that's a combination of the slow muzzle velocity, which you're going to see here in action again. Look at that. The muzzle velocity is so slow that distance shot, it passes over the back of the Tiger 2. And that's what I mean with the patchy gun handling. Normal medium tank would have smashed those two shots, particularly a German medium. But you also expect pretty decent gun handling from British mediums, which you don't get with this. But what you do get is that bit of frontal armor, and of course that strong turret. You saw that big bounce there off the T49. Cap base now, doing what we should do in a supremacy game. Get your points, get them as early and often as possible. Again, now, you know, I should be able to pen this SP1C full alpha roll into the back of them there, but look, you know, I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really hit him in the tracks, and you know, I'm not quite sure why I only get a 243 roll on him. Again, it goes back to the patchy gun handling. But of course, the gun has its strong points. If you switch up to Pramo, you can pen even the big heavies like a Tiger 2 or an E75 front on, as you saw there. So pretty good game so far. You can see, though, going up the hill, you know, this is not really medium tank speed or acceleration. You know, in many ways the tank is not a pure medium, it's kind of a heavium. And that, with that, you know, it plays very like the Chieftain, right? And the Chieftain is not a heavy per se, it's kind of like in between, and this is too, right? So you need to play it like that, right? You can't play it as you play a pure medium tank. You also in particular need to really make your shells and shots count, because there's such a long reload in between. I mean, if you get into a brawl with an IS-6, the IS-6 has a better rate of fire than you, and he has better armor. And you know, if you get into a brawl with an IS-5 or an IS-3 Defender, which has a very good power to weight ratio, it's going to be very difficult for you to circle a death him, or to you know, to face hug him and get around him, and you know, therefore you need to play this tank differently to a standard medium. But if you do, as I'm going to do between now and the end of the game, play to its hull down strengths and its big gun. So as you'll see, what I do from here to the end of the game is I actually keep a hill between me and my targets for the rest of the game. I pop out, take shots, and then when I'm going to have my big long reload, I roll back over a hill so that I can get hull down. And if I'm going to show anything, I'm just showing that really strong turret and mantlet, and I'm utilizing my good gun depression, as you saw there. Coming over, pop over the top of the hill, bam, reverse back up. Again, if I show anything to the enemy, I want to just show them the turret of my gun. Pop over, pop around into him. I've lost my ally, and now 2v1 situation. We're slightly ahead on points, which gives me an advantage, and I know that I have them down. Now, what I do here is I decide that I am not going to go after these guys. I'm going to sit here. I want to use these hills. I want to get myself into this hold down position as much as I can. So you can see here I'm reversing back down the hill, so that anything I'm showing them is just going to be the top of my tank. And you can see the result here. Bounce and pen from me. Bounce a shot, and I put pen in, and you can see that hits probably my gun mantlet. Difficult to see because I'm zoomed in, but it looks from the trajectory as if it hits the gun mantlet or the barrel. I'm not giving them a to look at. And then look again, one of the mantras that we use is always keep moving, and you see there the beauty of that mantra. That round from the T-43-1 just zips by. If I hadn't been moving, it would have hit me, and then I can able to clear him off. After missing a shot, he goes to try to, he's probably trying to rabbit to get to capture some bases. We're able to clear him off with a nice Freddie Mercury round right up the butt. Now here we go, mastery game, almost 4k of damage, 1.381k of XP, which is of course what delivers the mastery badge. Bit of a carry, you know, 2.5 times the next amount of damage on my team. Spotted and damaged up most of the enemy. I think 6 of the 7 of the enemy. Tiger 2, 3-4, T-34-1, T-34, 2G, the SP-1C, IS-6, and the other Tiger 2. In terms of credits, let's have a look at the credits, because this is a premium tank, so we want to see how does it earn in credits. Almost 100k of credits, so not bad at all. So it has good credit coefficient earning. And let's have a look at the XP, and there we go. XP for damage cause, XP for assistance to allies, XP for active actions, the spotting and the base capture, and the team bonus pushes it up to 1381 XP, and that delivers the mastery badge. Got the badge for scouting too. That's why we say maximizing the view range on a medium or a light tank is always key. Got Top Gun as well, and also got as we said, the mastery badge as well as the high caliber badge. Okay, so let's have a recap on this tank, go through its key characteristics. So it is an average medium tank. There's nothing really special about it, nothing really good. The gun, of course, is different to many medium tanks, but I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. It's very expensive, and I will take my hat off to Wargaming this. At least it's not in fucking grades, right? At least you pay your money and you know you're getting it. The big gun is a 13-second reload, so basically that's not really a medium gun system, and therefore you need to alter your playstyle. You can't fire shots on spec, and you really need to make your shots count. It has nice pen, it has nice DP rolls, of course. The HE pen is good, they're all on the positive side, but the poor power to weight ratio, the poor traverse, that really long gun reload, and the patchy gun handling, which is basically down to the muzzle velocity dispersion and the aiming time, basically mean that this tank is not really a good brawler, not really your standard medium tank at all. I would use gun rammer, supercharger and refined gun to counteract this. Use those hold down tactics as I used in that game. Any sort of hilly terrain, this tank has a winning combo. If you have the cash or you want to collect tanks, then of course get it. There's nothing really wrong with the tank. But if you just want to play this functionality and you don't want to spend cash, the good news is that you can have a kind of similar experience with the Centurion 1, which is the tier 8 medium tank in the British tech line, which you can research and grind to. And the good news is we are just starting that line now, starting with the Crusader, and we'll work our way all the way up to the tier 10. Cheers Mush, thanks for watching, hope you found it useful, hope you found it enjoyable, and I guess all that remains for me to say is Pants off.